Hello. We are recording another video here because we're going to talk about how to make your first HMI in Siemens. They call them panels, but it's all good. And I'm doing a little bit of YouTube Inception right now. As you can see over here on the bottom half of the screen, you can see a live HMI as this incorrect time keeps going up. And just to show you, look at my hand. Ooh, it's a little bit of a delay. You'll see my hand in a second. Uh, it's as live as I'm gonna get, but at least I can illustrate some things in real time. Right now, there's a basic program in there, so if I hit a start button, it will pop up in a second, and you can see my beautiful face. Ooh, look at that. Amazing. And it's also orienting a light on the PLC. So we're going to show you how this goes. I'm going to keep this going live for a little bit and show you how to set up a PLC. Now, this is the program I have. It's a simple program, and I have a physical switch. I have a memory bit. I have a light that's going to simulate a solenoid, as well as a memory bit as well. Fairly simple. Let's turn it on, turn it off. This could be anything, but I'm keeping it simple for the sake of the HMI. So I'm going to start from scratch, and I'm just going to go in here and right click and delete this HMI from my project. Ta-da! And so now what if I want to add, there's a couple things. When you're first setting up a program, so here's my program. Remember, there's project view and portal view. So I'm in project view. Here's my devices and networks, PLC programming. I can go in here under visualization and click here to add new device. In this case, I know I have a basic, this is mine right here. I'm running version 12. Make sure your version's correct. I know this is mine. Best way to find that is when you first log in. It's kind of down at the bottom. And what's nice about this is this can take you through everything from the start, and kind of you can set up your HMI. You can add objects, so add a new template screen, new screen. You can edit screens. You can add new screens here, and at some point you can go to town a lot more, and it'll set things up. I don't like that way personally, so I just delete it. But I wanted to show you that this is, when your first time through, this is nice, because one of the things that it will do is also set up your parents and child screens if you need to. I'm just not a fan. I'm calling me old fashioned, so I'm just going to delete this because I don't like doing it this way. Sorry. But you can, when you first are setting up a project, under the start, under start, you can, go through and set up the visualization and go from there. All right. So I don't like that way, but you can do that. What I like to do is just go into here and add new device. And now here's my HMI. My 6-inch basic, partly because I don't like the standard setup, so I like to format my stuff. This is what I was looking for. This will start you walking through your HMI. So I can browse my PLC, and I can connect it to PLC 1, and now it's already connected there. Screen layout. I can go in and I can get rid of a header. I can, add date and time. I can keep a logo there. It's my face, but I'm going to get rid of that, or at least maybe just keep the root screen. I can change the background color right off the bat. So let's go bright pink or purple or whatever that is. I can edit it. It's up to you. But since I work at a college where green's the primary color, why not do a shade of green? Okay. The resolution is locked in. I can hit next. I can start setting up alarms. But this is what I was talking about screens. I can create Screen Palooza. I can add screens here or I can just delete them. If I want to delete screens, yes, but I can have a root screen and have multiple screens. I'm not going to even, I'm just going to delete all this because it's not, I can name them. Yeah, invalid output. But I can delete these and all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of, I can add a screen layer here. I can add a screen layer there. Yeah, so there's a lot of customization. So if you know what, if you kind of have a basic setup already, this is already set up for you to go. I'm probably just going to do the root screen. There's system screens. I wouldn't mess with this too much because it's all there. But then you can also add buttons. So you can have a login language, and you can move your buttons to the left, bottom. So these are soft key buttons that you could have there. I don't like buttons, but if you want to put in one button on, one button there on the left or the right or on the bottom and drag in and exit, that's up to you. I rather use the hard keys, but this could be what your system looks like. So I'm gonna go back up to my layout and get rid of the header. And now I hit finish. I like doing this way better because it sets everything up cleaner and I can customize more. And now here's what my HMI looks like. Looky there. It's got a grid layout. It's got a basic text there you can just delete. But now I got stuff that I can play with. System screens, I'll just delete this. These here are the hard keys that's in the front. If you notice on the, you see this F1, F2, F3, these are the hard keys that correspond to that. And so right now on that HMI, I have a system set up, so I've hit F1. If I hit F1, it goes back to it basically logs out and goes to a screen that's, default. It's in that where you can change your IP address directly from there or start communicating. I'm going to hit start here, and so I get back to my runtime. Okay? And you can see the little bit of a delay. But here's my basic screen. The nice thing about Siemens is I can add pictures willy-nilly. I can do whatever. But over here are the elements that I will operate from. You can see switches. You can see graphic fields. You can see Bob's your uncle, whatever you need. Basic objects. You can always import more. There's a whole bunch of graphics, and that's the nice thing about HMIs. You can import CAD files and pictures and all this other fun stuff that matches what you need. So they call this WinCC. Where are you? Graphics, come on. I got basic symbols, arrows, and just, runtime control icons. Let me see if I can't pull this up. Come on. Yeah, so you can always import more of the stuff. Basic arrows and other fun things. But the basics work. So here's my first button. I can put in a push button. And then down here at the bottom, you can see some things. But before I do that, I forgot. I should probably check on something else. Down here, the HMI screen, you'll start seeing your devices and configurations. But way up at the top, you'll see devices and networks. This is important because here's my network, here's my connections. I need to make sure I drag and drop and make sure that I have a railroad track here at some point. Now, if I go into my HMI connections, you'll probably see two because I probably just redoubled. But if you're not seeing something communicating, because I have my networks, I have my connections, you can see the HMI connection set up. You can see this, everything hunky-dory. But if you don't see anything, you can literally just drop and drag and make sure things are connected. You need both because this is the network because you got multiple things on here, but you got to have the HMI connection to go back to the PLC. We set that up with a wizard, And if I go into my device configurations, I can configure everything else I need here. So Ethernet addresses. In this case, I defaulted to something here that, but I know my IP address here is this, so I'm going to set this here so I can make sure I find the right setup. But I can do all my configurations and information. But here under connections is where you can see there's two different connections. I'm going to delete the second. I'm going to delete the second one here because we connected this already. I always put the time synchronization as slave, so it reads whatever's on the PLC. So that's that there. And now here's my screens. Here's all the different screens that I could do. Well, here's my root screen. I'm just going to play with my root screen. Whatever's the green is my root screen. But all this other stuff is all the fancy stuff that's there so that if things go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I can go find all this stuff here, but it's already preset up. I can just download my root screen if I want. So I can just go in here and delete all this. And just work with the root screen. The root screen is what is the first thing that's going to come to mind. So I can delete all that. Oops, delete. So here we go. We have our connections because we're not going to be able to do much unless we have the connections. So I can bring in my button here. Here's my text. And it'll give you text. You can change it to a graphic so that you have a graphic list here so that when it's not pressed, something happens or not happens, and you can see something changes. So I'm going to hit undo. So you could import in different cool graphics. I'm just going to do text here, and I'll just say, when input 1 here. So appearance, I can change the color. So if I want a hot pink in the text black, I can. I can have a 3D effect or non-3D effect. 3D is cooler. I can change its position, size. This is all. I can change its font. So if I want to change the font, it looks like Tahoma is the only thing there, so I'll keep Tahoma and other fun elements. Now, if I want it to actually do something, that's under animation. So if I want this to physically do something, I have to add a new animation. Or event. Event. That's what it is. I'm doing too much Alan Bradley. Need an event. So if I press it, add a function. So if I press it, it will set bit, and I can then define my bit that it's going to set. So I can go up to my PLC tags, default tag table, and if I go back to my I forget what I've named this. So mbit1. Go back to my root screen and go back to my push button and do the events mbit1. Look, there it goes up. Now it's connected. So when I press it, it will set the bit or turn it on. And if I release it, I can do a reset bit. So this way, if I hold in the button, it sets it. But once I reset it, once I release it, it'll automatically reset. You can do activate, change, click, all that holds true. All right. So if I want to do something, it's got to be an event. Animation is on the output side. So if I want, a shape here, kind of showing off, here's my thing. I can double click on it. Go into properties. I can change the layout. I can make it look cool and other fun things. Change a color to magenta, etc. This is all the fun stuff that you can go in the deep woods with. But if I want to change the appearance, I can make it move, I can make it disappear and appear. I can make it change based upon the tag. So if I have a default tag, so if I go back up to my I can have it set to I can set it to mbit 17 or the solenoid. I'm gonna just set it to mbit 17. So if it's 1 to 99, I can change the color to make the color look like this. If it's 0, it looks like something else. So let me do 0, look like this. If it's 1, look like this. So it's a way of setting up the range of bits, and I can have it associated with, what did I say it was, 17? So there you go. Everything should be cool. But now I can also have pictures added. So here's Mr. Internet. So let's say I've been really infatuated with LeBron James. It's the NBA Finals. I can go to images. And now, hey, here's a good image. I'm going to save this image as. So that whenever I press the button, LeBron James shows up. Or not. View image. So here's the image. I'm going to save image as, just because. And now you could take a picture of your processor, your process. Come on. It don't matter what you use. I'm just using this as an example. Oh, here we go. So there we go. It just took a second. And so now if I want to, I can go in here and insert an image. I can format that image. But if I want to, so if I go in here and insert the image, I can go to properties and find the image I want to import. So here's a bunch of images already. There's Dan, there's, that's me. But I can also bring in a new image. So I can create an image from a file. So this opened up. And now I can look for LeBron. And now look, now I have LeBron James showing up on my screen. And if I want to animate this, I can make it visible when, say, I think a solenoid 1. It's visible when it's 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, probably 1 to 1. That works. Cool. So now everything is cool. We can see if it works. Now, one of the other things is, here's the button here. If I want to add a function, so if I press it, I can stop runtime. So stop runtime. I can press this button here, and if I hit press, it will, go to home, press this button. These are the functions that I can utilize if I get lost that will keep me from having issues. So settings, I can go in and set PLC date and time. So look at that. I can set PLC date, time. Cool. I might use that. So we'll go from there. And so now here comes the next fun thing. First things first, download the process to the PLC and make sure everything is set up right, good to go, because if you don't, you could have issues. So I'm going to download all this to the device, just to the PLC. Make sure everything is operating perfectly. Yes, load. And so now, what I'm going to do first is I want to compile and rebuild all hardware. Everything's good. Awesome. Now, I want to download all the software to the device. And so let me pull up Mr. Live View. So I'm going to do configured IP address. It's going here. I'm going to try to connect first. And now it's connecting. If I go to my live view, you'll see nothing there, but I can flash the LED. Can't flash. So try to connect. Everything's hunky-dory. Now, if I hit my end runtime, it's shutting down. You'll see in a second. It's shutting down. If I hit flash LED or try to connect, now it may time out because what I need to do is hit transfer. So if you're on the screen where nothing is running, you might need to hit transfer in order for it to find itself to connect to host. Hopefully it will. And so now it's there. If I hit flat, usually you can flash. So I'm going to hit load. And it's going to try to load. And now it's compiling the HMI. So now I'm ready to go. I'm going to do override all and load. And you should see that it's preparing to connect to the device. And now it's starting to upload. And you can see in a second with the delay that is transforming everything. And you can see how it's supposed to look. And now if you take a look, now it looks like everything should be there. Nothing major, just was. Now if I hit input, you can see Mr. LeBron James showing up just like we thought, and all the colors are changing like we thought. If I hold it in, you can see that it stays active. So we are now the king of HMIs, and if I want to, I can go in and hit my push button, my buttons, and shut down just like before. And if I want to go in here, I just have to hit start to start it up again. If I want to make changes, everything should be cool. One last thing, if I want to add in a text string or date time field, I just have to add it. Properties, I can make it bigger. There it is, general system time, show date time. And now I made that change, everything's cool, it's there. And then if I make changes, I just have to download it to the device. And it should take less time. And so now I overwrite all and load. Riveting stuff, but you can get really complex with this stuff. You can go overboard, and you can see in this case I just overwrite it, connected to the host, transfer everything, and I didn't have to do anything once it was already running. And so now there's that date and time issue. So cool. I think I gotta go in and configure some things. But that's how you set up HMIs. And you can go to town, but that's how you can do simple stuff. So we're the king of HMIs now. We rule.